So yeah, welcome to our school, and I'm really happy that you guys got to come. So here's our student body. They're all stick figures, but they like to do different sorts of things. We've got a lot of different students with a lot of different skills, right? Every student's different. As Cisco mentioned, I get a subset of these students, the students that are struggling for many different types of reasons, right? But some common things that I hear from my students are like, what homework? I don't know what you're talking about. I was supposed to do that? Well, yeah, it was posted on the board. They put it on the website, but you didn't pick up on that. I guess that's why you're here. Or also, much I hear a lot, right? I've already done all my work. Really, I have nothing to do today, so I'm free, right? Well, you're scheduled for me for an hour and 15 minutes. You're going to sit there and do nothing? Yeah, because I've already done all my homework. Really? Huh. I really wish, right, if I only knew all the current assignments for all of the classes, right? If I knew that, if I knew every assignment that was out there for the upper school, then I could do several things. I could call them on their laziness. I could help them with particular subjects. I could prepare for them to arrive at. But how do I do this? As Cisco explained, we have so many different platforms in the upper school. We've got Moodle, we've got EduBlogs, we've got Google Sites. Right, so how do I get the homework assignments, right? So I started literally keeping little pieces of paper in preparation for a particular group of students. Like, this guy's got to do that, she's got to do this, right? That was a lot of work, and it wasn't such an effective use of my time. So I also found that I was repeating the work again and again because some of my students take the same classes, right? So it's like, well, I just found out the homework assignment for that social studies class, and I'm going to have another kid in that same class later today, so if I just take this piece of paper and, okay, wait a second, like, I've organized data like this before, I've managed a database, like, I've run my own website. If I were in charge of the school system, I would just create a web page with it, link it to a database, and I would be able to collate all this information really easily. But they wasn't able to do that. Like, how do I pull all that information from all those websites? Right? There's a way to do that, but it's hugely complicated. So I started thinking about these, like, Google Docs that were being used more and more here at our school. And I was like, okay, a Google spreadsheet, right? If I had two Google spreadsheets, one with like, well, I'll show you the picture. And Google got apps scripts to connect the two spreadsheets together. There's got to be a way to make spreadsheets talk to each other, okay? So this is my idea, and through Google Apps Scripts, I was able to write a small script to basically connect two spreadsheets together. And how did I do that? There's, this is one site, the place to get started. Being able to script is a long road for some people and a very short road for others. I had previous experience doing PHP, so it wasn't such a long road for me. But, so I needed this assignments manager. So how does it work? I'll show you. So I've got one spreadsheet with all of my students and their schedules. So the app script that I wrote presents this little drop-down list. So I can choose which block of students I have for this particular time. From that, I choose a student, and this will create what is like all their outstanding assignments current. Well, where do these assignments come from? I showed you where the schedule is and how this chooses which class to present. But where are the assignments? Well, that's the second spreadsheet. The second spreadsheet is basically filled with all of the assignments for all of the classes in the whole upper school, or at least those classes for which my students attend. For the most part, if you here, you can see this is just a subset of this very large document. Those things that are white, I'm actually going and cutting and pasting from different portals in our school system of information. So I'm actually writing some of these because it's easier for me to just write them out than try and explain it later to students. So I was doing a lot of work. There were some teachers who were producing RSS feeds from blogs, and also when we upgraded our Moodle this past year, Moodle then was able to produce RSS feeds through forums. And this particular class, in this biology class, the teacher was posting homeworks in a news forum from which I could get an RSS feed. In this document, I can put the RSS feed over here. And with a little snippet of, it's not even script, it's just it's one of the features you can find in the Google spreadsheet. I can then import the RSS feed. That is the assignment that she has posted in her news forum. will then go directly into this document. So there's no more cutting and pasting for me to do. Right? So now this document is constantly updating. Are there people who are unfamiliar with RSS and what it is? Okay, if you know what a blog post is, anytime that you blog, it sends out an RSS communication. It will update hourly, 3 hours, something like that. So this spreadsheet now became much more dynamic. I didn't have to do so much work. So this is what our Moodle looks like. Since I showed this then to the upper school teacher, and I said, look, like now that Moodle's kind of come along and we've upgraded, every teacher has the ability to create RSS feeds now for their assignments. I think that it would be really wonderful both for me and for our students, for all teachers to do this. I gave him basically this same presentation, he bought into it. So I'll show you across the 3 different platforms how I collect RSS feeds briefly. So here's this homework forum. Go there. RSS feeds. This is a list of past homeworks that she's posted. The RSS feed is basically just a URL, okay? So if you cut and paste the URL in there, I'll get up what looks like this, but it's not rendered very nicely. But it's still all the information a student would need. What is critical is this URL. So I take the URL and I put that into my other spreadsheet. This is a Google site. Okay, Google Sites within them have what's called an announcements page, which is essentially a blog in that you can create posts and it sends out an RSS feed that you can subscribe to. So this is actually Cisco's, and he has created this assignments page, and all you need to do is add this /post.xml, and then now this is an RSS feed, exactly what I needed from him in order to collate the homework assignments. This is a blog. This is from EduBlogs, and some of our teachers use EduBlogs. As long as you use categories to separate your different classes into if you're a social studies teacher, you have several sections or different classes. 10th grade has their own category. I take the 10th grade feed and publish it into my spreadsheet. So now we've got all these RSS feeds for all of the classes and their homeworks contained within. And the thing that was so convincing about to our principal to have teachers really get on board and help them to have the motivation to create RSS feeds with their homeworks, it wasn't something they were doing already, was showing them what the students could then do with it, right? So on each student's laptop, they could subscribe to or sign up for something like NetVibes. With NetVibes, it takes a lot of different RSS feeds from different places, and you can sort of change the layout and show you to create some kind of layout that is comfortable for you. So this is one I created. So if you had these classes, there's 6 classes here. So day after day, this is updated with the latest assignments. So for the first time at our school, you could go to one place and see all of your homework assignments at any particular time. Now for a support teacher, this was huge. This is exactly what I needed, right? Because now I can do things like, really, are you sure you don't have anything to do? Because when I look here, I can see that you've got an assignment due in a day that you forgot about, right? So, and plus now they have access to everything at one time. I mean, a lot of kids, they were lazy, as some students tend to be. So, another way, through a browser like Firefox. All browsers built in have a way to read RSS. So, in this case, RSS feeds are managed here, and you can see your assignments here. So this is another way that students can grab RSS feeds and take a look at them. So the last thing I'll show you is what I can do on Google Sites. So most students at ISP now in the upper school have the ability to take RSS feeds for all their courses, and they choose whatever platform they like to use. They use Chrome, they use some other aggregator, Google Feed Reader, doesn't matter. But for my students, I have some of them, not all of them, the ones that I feel that would be most benefit most from this, create this page, which is, these are a bunch of little apps that you plug in. They are RSS feeds readers. So I have one for each one of their classes. So each of these students that I deem needful will create this page. So every day I can say, hey, did you take a look at this? Okay, you haven't, so let's go there now. We can look at it together, right? And at the bottom of that student's page, I also have a blog, essentially. So I can make notes on the student. tell them, it's a way for us to communicate. He can read it back at home. I can also keep track day after day, like what we've done in class or what my expectations are. I can give feedback. I could give their parents this link. Then, so in this block, in F block, I have 7 students. So now what I've done is I've taken a collection of feeds from the previous slide. So here I'm basically writing a blog for each one of my students on their pages. So then I take the feed from each one of those pages and put them all together here for my blog. So now for this block, I look at 7 students, right? So I've got the notes from my last class, last time I had them. This is what you've done. This is what I need to remind myself to do with you. Things like that. This is all things that they can see as well. That's it.
Are you ever concerned that other students are doing your blog or your conversation with the others?
Yes, but not really, because I've only done this for 2 weeks. This story, yeah, it's moved really fast, and so this presentation I gave in this room 2 weeks ago was to convince the teachers to start doing RSS feeds, which we had never done. So now I'm just starting to put this together. Am I concerned with that? Not right now. I write all the content there. They don't write the content. And the stuff that I write there is meant for that purpose. I know that they can see that. Most students, I'd be surprised that some of them would go there. But.
So you can actually shut it down, and only you and that person can see it.
Because I can imagine some students saying, I don't want the other kids to know what the teacher's feedback is to me, or etc.
Yeah, that's what you control your privacy settings for that.
Yeah, every page on my site you can see, like, these are all different pages of my students. I can control who can look at that page, basically. It's pretty open right now, just because it's still kind of in an experimental phase. So there we go. Yeah, if there's any other questions about all the RSS feeds, that was pretty fast. I hope it wasn't overwhelming.